Hello everyone, welcome to Max 9 tutorial number 21, Groov'n and Loopin'. It's going to be a loopy day. When we last left off, this was what we were doing. We had full control over time stretch and pitch shift, and we had made a way to switch back and forth between the two of them. And what do we have to say about that? Pat yourself on the back. La 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 la. Pat yourself on the back. La 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 la. Pat yourself on the back. La 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 la. And as brilliant as that is, and how much we deserve to be pat on the back, there would be really nothing like being able to just repeatedly pat ourselves on the back. And that leads brilliantly into what we're going to talk about today, which is a little bit of looping, a little bit of grooving. But before we get to that, we're going to make a change here so that we can actually play notes instead of me coming down here and starting and stopping them. Let's just get on with it and do that thing that we know how to do, which is unlock our patcher and delete things. So let's just get this out of here, these two things, because we don't need them, right? We know what a B patcher is. So let's type new, type B patcher. B patcher pops up there. We go ahead, we select it, we do that. You can barely see it, but it's there. Hello, B patcher. And we'll make it about the size we want it there. Actually, for various reasons, I'm going to want it a little bit lower. Maybe. Well, we'll see. We'll see. We like to be fluid. So once you have your B patcher here, you have to connect it to the file that you want to open. If you are in my class, that means your keyboard file from just the MIDI keyboard, not the keyboard that plays analog. So we come down here, we choose our file, it goes off to our tutorials here, and what was it? It was 14? Yeah, 14, there it is. Tutorial keyboard to MIDI. And that's the one we want. We open it, and look at that. Our keyboard pops in there, and then you can decide if you want to keep it transparent so that your new keyboard looks more consistent, or whether you want your old colors, like purple. I'm gonna go with transparent. Why not? Okay, so there we are, and I'm gonna just trim this in a little bit closer to my keyboard. Great. Now, lock your patcher for a minute, turn up the volume, make sure that your keyboard is outputting on your bus 1 or whatever's handy for you. And then what we're going to want to do is receive all that bus 1 somewhere in here. We've done this before for our analog synthesizers. Now we're going to do it for what will soon be our sampling synthesizers. So let's just start up here. We'll probably end up moving it. Unlock your patcher, and you say new, type the letter N, and then you write note in, because that will just have the notes come in. And there, whoa, where's my mouse? It's lost. Hello, mouse. There it goes. Sorry, actually that was my computer just sort of freezing up. Okay, so note in's going to come in, and we can, let's just put some integer boxes there so we can see the notes coming in when they come in. You could either just type I twice, or I'm not even sure if I did that. I think that's what I did. And you don't have to worry about channel unless you're doing something beyond what we're doing. This last one is for channel, and we don't need the channel. Just locking our patcher quickly, we verify right now everything's coming in, all devices by channel. We change it to bus number 1, and then we try playing some songs here, some ASDF on our computer keyboard, and look at that working so nicely. So now we would normally split it into 6 different places if we're going to make, like, let's just say a 6-voice synthesizer. But for testing purposes, let us keep this just the way it is and figure out how to make that operate this particular part of the sampler synthesizer. Because otherwise we have to always key in 6 notes just to get 1 to sound. So we have our 51 coming in, and we're going to take that over here, M to F, right? Now the 0 is somewhat of a different problem, if you will. We want it to turn the live gain. We want to be able to set the volume, but we also want this to be able to stop. So we're going to have a select 0. So type N, then select 0. So this is sort of good, because the nice thing about select is that if we get a 0, this thing goes bang, and it can do whatever we want. For example, it can hit stop, right? I tend to get annoyed by these lines being dragged across here. So if this really does bug you, there's a little trick, Command Y, and then you can just sort of move it around so it doesn't bug you. Whew. Saves my life every now and then. Okay, so now we've got the note coming in. 51 is going to deal with this part of it and set the note correctly. And then the 0, if a 0 comes in, that's going to stop it. And if the right volume comes in, then what's it going to do? Well, it's going to have to do a couple things. First, it needs to set the volume, probably here. And then it needs to say, start this whole thing somewhere. All right. We have such an object for this, and it's called the trigger object. So type the letter N. And you could type trigger out, but because the trigger object is so very, very popular, just type the letter T, and that will do. Okay. Now, we want this to send through whatever number that is, which will be an integer. And then we're going to assume we want it to go bang. So the thing of it is that we have to put it backwards because Max tends to read from right to left. I know, it's confusing, but it does. So we type the bang first, just a B, and then in the other one we type, oh boy, is it an I? I. And so what'll happen is whatever number comes out of here and goes into here, it will get to the trigger object, and the first thing the trigger object will do is pass that number through here. So we want that to set this volume, and then we want the bang to start it playing. But we have one more complicated thing to do before that. We're using a live gain. So we need to rescale the number coming in. We could just switch this to 2 single gains of the non-live variety, but today we're using the live gain, and we love learning stuff. So let's just go over here, click on the live gain, and discover in this what its range is. What is the range of live gain? Well, oh, for goodness sake. Oh, there it is, right up here. Range enumeration. -70 to 6. So that's going to be the output of our scale, is going to be -70 to 6. And what is our input going to be? Well, here, let's make the scale object first. And the input is going to be 0 to 127. And the output is going to be -70 to 6. And I'm willing to go check that. There it is, -70 to 6. The idea of this, just in case you're wondering who would put such an insane number in there, is that 0 is typically what you call flat. So, and it just reminded me looking at this, it's -70 point and 6 points. So let's go correct that, but 0 is essentially considered flat. So let's go click in here and put a point, and click after the 6 and put a point, so that just in case the output needs to be scaled that way, it'll do it. So here, the integer coming out that's going to be 0 to 127 goes here, and then this number is going to come down here and tell gain, oh, there it is again, see, -70 to 6. So, and I'm going to command Y this too, so that it isn't so messy. And then the bang is going to come down here and hit, let's just have it hit the 0 for now, and then we'll get fancier as we start moving toward that thing we called the loop. So I'm going to command Y this too and get it down here. So now we might have a working single channel of sampling. So let's go ahead and play a note and see what happens.
Boy, we've done a great job. Boy, we've done a great job. Boy, we've done a great job.
I'm just going to turn it up to make sure that you realize what a good job we've done. Oops, what happened?
Boy, we've done a great job. Boy, we've done a great job.
And then let's just see if our keyboard, whoops, I don't have my keyboard locked. That's what's going on. I'm hitting keys that are making stuff. Oh, there's more stuff. Wait, let me unlock my patcher here. I forgot. Sometimes when you're hitting keys, you're busy making stuff, and when you're making stuff, you're not playing. Okay, lock your patcher. And let's turn time stretch off and see if it's working. Boy, we've done a great job.
Boy, we've done a great job. Boy, we've done a great job. Boy, we've done a great job.
And then with pitch shifting on.
Boy, we've done a great job. Boy, we've done a great job.
And let's see if we can change the speed of that. Wow, 3 times faster.
Boy, we've done a great job. Pat yourself on the back. La, 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 la. Boy, we've done a great job. Pat yourself on the back. La, la. Boy, we've done a great job. Pat yourself on the back. Boy, we've done a great job. Pat yourself. Boy, we've done a great job. Pat yourself on the back.
All right. So everything seems to be working for one channel here. And before we go any further, maybe we can explore some looping. Everybody ready here? Because I want to get the looping in here before we go separating this into its own sampling synthesizer. So here we go. Looping with Groove. All right, so like time stretch, let's get our old, well, here we can click on Groove and that'll tell us too. And we go to reference. What can you send to Groove? You can say, hey, loop, and then a number. Turn on looping. So something like this time stretch will discover, I'm going to just type the letter M and type loop string, $, I said string 1, but you get the idea. String 1, And that's it. And then we can even do something like this and duplicate this and move it. Actually, I could have duplicated a whole bunch of them and moved it, right? So now we can correct this. We can say looping or loop, and then on and off, and then the output of this is going to go to loop, and now this will come down here to groove. All right, so far so good. So I'm going to turn it off and play a note.
Boy, you done a great job. Pat yourself on the back. La, 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 la.
And it stops. I'm still holding the note down, which you can see here. And now I'll let off. Now we're going to turn loop on.
Boy, you done a great job. Pat yourself on the back. La, 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 la. Boy, you done a great job. Pat yourself on the back. La, 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 la. Boy, you done a great job. Pat yourself on the back. La, 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 la.
Okay,
Boy, you
so
done a
now
great
you
job.
see
Pat yourself
that,
on the back. La, la.
oh, stop. So you see it'll just go on looping forever. And while that might not seem like a good thing yet, maybe it will when I have something else recorded in here, or when we have 6 voices. So now that we can make it loop, there's another function that, let's unlock our patchers here. And, oh boy, I am running out of space, as I always am. Let's make our speed control thinner, and I think we'll be able to get away with this. So here's our speed control, and then there's another kind of slider. Type the letter N and type R for range slider. And it's R slider, it's not range slider. It's display or change a range of numbers. Great. So here's the range slider. And I'm going to make it horizontal too. And then here, let's go ahead and put 2 boxes under it so we can see what range slider does. And then lock your patcher. And then what you can do with range slider is do things like this. 16 to 104. So you can see this thing right now is probably 127 there. So right now it's 126 to 127. So this is a standard size, but we're making it a range slider for our buffer, which is 6,000. Uh-oh. So what are we gonna do? Well, we have a way of telling both range slider, right? I'm highlighting this, and then we come over here and we say, oh, well, how big is it? All you have to do is tell it size and then some number. Set the overall range size. Okay, easy enough. Now I'm going to go back over here to the buffer and sort of look for the same thing. Like, well, how do you tell it how big it should be? And interestingly, the command is set size. So now we know that whatever size the buffer is, and we can change it, it should be set to the same size as the rangefinder. So let's go ahead and have let's use a prepend for both of these. So new prepend, prepend, and then size for this one. And then I'm going to move this over here because because I'm going to use them together. Now I'm going to option click on it, and I'm going to say, just because I'm lazy, I'm going to type set in front of that one and say set size and connect that to the buffer. And then we're going to say that there is a we want it to always open probably at the same size, but maybe we want it to open the size that we left it before. So I'm going to show you a little trick here. We make a load bang, right? And then we make a put an I in there for a number. Sorry, the load bang actually never goes to that. That was a mistake. Mistake. Okay. But before you move that, because it's just easier, put a message in there and type 6,000. Okay. Then put the load bang to the top of that message. And then put the bottom of that to the number. So now, when locking your patcher, if you double click on load bang, it does bang, as you can see, right? But what we can do that may or may not be clever, we'll see, is unlock your patcher and take the output of this number and put it right back to the top, to the left, to the right-hand inlet, so that whatever we make this, if we wanted to change it, it'll get stored in there and it will always open up to that size. Does that make sense? So now, if we change this to 2,000, let's say, I'm just going to type it in there, or 2,500, just so we can see it. Whoops, that was 25,000. That would be a 25-second timer. Now it'll always open to 2,500, right? Or 5,000. So that's more or less a 5-second loop that we have. But now our buffer and our range slider will always be the same. And now look at these outlets. Now, if we go from here to here, it's still, I was going to say, look, 5,000. Nope, it isn't, because I forgot to connect this one. So connect this one also to that. And then we will hit that, and we can see now that all the way up to 4,999, because why? Because it includes 0 and it's a digital thing. Well, fantastic. That's great. Now, what can we do with these numbers? Well, I'm glad you asked. These numbers can come down to our groove, and you will see when we unlock our patcher that this one says signal float loop minimum, right? And this one says, this one says loop maximum. So, interesting. Let's make sure. I believe that it works in milliseconds as well, not just with signal, but that would be interesting if they had it work with signal. Okay, so I'm going to connect this one down to this one, and this one down to that one. And now, locking your patcher, I'm going to say, play the whole thing. Oh, I wiped out the buffer. Darn it. We better record something. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Thank you so much.
5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
And
6,
now
7, 8.
I'm going to change the range here. So you get the idea. It's saying 2, 3, 4, 5 now, because I'm grabbing the middle parts of it. Now, if I wanted to be somewhat fancy here, I could say, okay, well, if I turn wherever this range is, that's where we're going to start from now on. So not only is it the minimum, but it is the starting point. So we could, instead of making this trigger 0, we could make this number here, the minimum, feed into here. So now, whatever this is where it'll start. Right? So now, if we hit a key,
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 7, 8, 7, 8, 7, 8, 7, 8, 7, 8, 7, 8, 7, 8, 7, 8, 7, 7, 8, 7, 8, 7, 7, 8, 7, 8, 7, 8, 7.
Okay. Well, that's super exciting. I think we can return and make this a badass sampling synthesizer. Would you agree? I hope so. Well, I'll be back in the next tutorial to do that. But in the meantime, just think about how you're going to do it.
We can return and make this a badass thing. We can return and make this a badass thing. We can return.
Think. We can return and make this a badass thing. We can return. Think. We can return and make this a badass thing.
Think. We can return and make this a badass thing.
See you in the next tutorial. Thank you for watching.